You're standing in front of the refrigerator at 2 a.m. The house is silent. The world is asleep. But inside you, there is a storm. You aren't hungry in the way your ancestors were, yet you're searching. You've just finished a full, calorie-dense meal, yet you feel a terrifying emptiness. Most people think they have a weight problem, a lack of willpower, or a simple discipline issue. They are wrong. You have a meaning problem. Today, we are going to look into the neurobiology of your cravings, the philosophy of the existential vacuum, and the ancient theology of the fast. By the end of this video, you will understand that what you're really hungry for isn't food. We are bringing order to your chaos. It's a quiet, heavy restlessness, a gnawing sensation in the pit of your stomach that no amount of sugar, salt, or fat seems to silence. You eat to numb the anxiety of an uncertain future. You eat to fill the silence of a house that feels too big, or a life that feels too small and insignificant. You consume because you cannot stand the weight of being alone with your own thoughts, because the moment you stop chewing, the questions start. Who am I? What am I doing? Is this all there is? But the more you consume, the more transparent you feel. You are trying to use the physical to solve a metaphysical crisis. You are starving in a land of plenty, not because there is no food, but because you are feeding the wrong part of yourself. You are trying to drown a spiritual fire with a glass of salt water. It only makes the thirst more violent. You have become a consumer of shadows, thinking that if you just find the right taste, the right texture, or the right amount, the hole in your soul will finally close. But the hole isn't in your stomach, it's in your identity. To understand this, we must look at how God designed our hardware and how the world has hacked it. Your brain operates on a delicate balance of hormones, ghrelin, the hunger signal, and leptin, the signal of satiety. In a world of order, these work in harmony, but in a world of chaos, we have created what science calls hedonic hunger. This isn't hunger for survival, it's hunger for pleasure as a form of anesthesia. When you are stressed, lonely, or bored, your brain's reward system, the dopamine loop, seizes control of your biological hunger. You aren't craving nutrients, you are craving a neurochemical spike to mask your existential pain. This is a digital and physical lobotomy. By constantly feeding the emotional beast with high-calorie distractions, you are down-regulating your receptors. You are losing the ability to feel satisfied by anything. You have become a ghost in a body that is constantly screaming for more because enough has lost its meaning. You are chasing a ghost of satiety that retreats every time you take a bite. We must address the environment. We live in an era of hyper-palatable chaos. Scientists have engineered food to hit the bliss point, a specific ratio of salt, sugar, and fat that bypasses your prefrontal cortex and speaks directly to your primal brain. This is intentional. The system doesn't want you satisfied, it wants you addicted. But this alchemy goes deeper. When you consume these substances, you aren't just eating, you are participating in a liturgy of self-sedation. You are being trained to seek comfort in the material every time your spirit feels friction. This is why you cannot fast. It's not because your body is weak, but because your spirit has been conditioned to run to the pantry the moment it feels the divine friction of growth. You are being fed to death so that you never have the energy to fight for your life. The psychiatrist Viktor Frankl once observed that when a man's life is empty of meaning, he fills the void with stuff, and most often that stuff is the immediate gratification of the senses. We are the most overfed generation in history, yet we are the most spiritually malnourished. We suffer from what I call the gourmet void. We have sophisticated our palates to hide the fact that we have nothing to live for. We use food as a shield against the voice of God. The desert is terrifying because in the desert there are no snacks to hide behind.
You are forced to face the starving giant inside of you, the version of you that was meant for greatness but has been sedated by comfort. You are not a body that has a soul. You are a soul that is currently trapped in a body it doesn't know how to lead. Your cravings are the sound of a spirit crying out for its true home, but you keep trying to send it back to the pantry. You are trying to fill an infinite hole with finite things. Mathematically and spiritually, it will never work. Let us look at the study of case, the Israelites in the wilderness. After escaping Egypt, they found themselves in a place of total dependency. God provided manna. It was a mysterious substance that appeared with the dew. But there was a rule that drove them mad. You could only gather enough for one day. If you tried to stockpile it, it turned to worms. Why? Because God wasn't just feeding their stomachs, He was training their souls in the art of daily order. He was teaching them that the source of their life wasn't the bread itself, but the word that commanded the bread to exist. He was breaking their Egyptian mindset, the need to control and hoard for security. When Christ was led into the wilderness, He faced the ultimate test of this hunger. After 40 days, He was starving. Satan arrived with a logical, compassionate solution. Turn these stones into bread. You're a son, why should you suffer? It was an invitation to prioritize the belly over the spirit, to use His power to escape the desert instead of conquering it. Christ's response is the foundation of our resistance. Man shall not live by bread alone. He was reestablishing the hierarchy of the soul. He was saying that there is a substance that calories cannot provide. Your hunger is not a biological error. It is a homing beacon for the infinite. You are starving for the word, but you've been settling for the crust.
If this diagnosis is hitting close to home, it means your spirit is finally waking up from its sedation. That is a mercy. The pain you feel is the sign of life returning to a numbed limb. If you want more strategies to bring order to your internal world and stop being a slave to your cravings, consider joining this movement by subscribing. We are building a cathedral of men who refuse to be sedated by the world's crumbs. We must address the cycle of shame. After the binge, after the late-night indulgence, comes the lightness of shame. You feel heavy in your body, bloated, lethargic, slow, but you feel thin in your character. You feel transparent. This shame creates a new wave of cortisol, which triggers a new wave of anxiety, which leads you right back to the refrigerator for comfort. It is a closed loop of chaos. Shame wants you to hide. It wants you to think you are a glutton by nature, a lost cause. But the gospel tells you that you are a son by adoption who has forgotten his father's table. You are eating the husks in the pig pen because you have forgotten the feast in the Father's house. To break the cycle, you must stop fighting the hunger and start questioning it. Ask the hunger, what are you really looking for? Because if the hunger is spiritual, food will never be the answer. You are trying to put out a forest fire with a teaspoon of sugar. Fasting is not an act of hate toward the body. It is an act of love toward the spirit. It is the alchemy of sacrifice. When you say no to the stomach, you say yes to the will. You are reclaiming the territory that the algorithm and the industrial complex have stolen from you. You are proving that you are more than a biological machine that responds to stimuli. In the silence of hunger, you begin to hear the deep hunger. This is the hunger for righteousness, for impact, for legacy, and for God. This hunger is dangerous to the world because a man who cannot be bought with a meal is a man who cannot be controlled. When you conquer your appetite, you begin to conquer your fear. How do you reclaim your appetite for the eternal? You must implement the theology of resistance. This is how we bring order to the chaos. First, you must embrace the sacred gap. When the craving hits, the urgent, irrational need to consume,
to numb, to distract. Do not move. Sit with the hunger for 15 minutes in total silence. Do not reach for your phone. Do not reach for a book. Just sit. Let the anxiety rise. Let the void speak. You need to prove to your brain that a feeling is not a command. This is the birth of sovereignty. You are moving from reaction to action. Second, practice the liturgy of the table. Stop eating in front of screens. When you eat while watching, you are training your brain to associate consumption with escapism. When you eat, sit down, no distractions. Pray. Respect the life that was sacrificed for your sustenance. Look at your food. Taste it. Reclaim the weight of the meal. If you don't respect the meal, you will never respect your body. Third, implement strategic fasting. Ghosts don't have bodies. To stop being a ghost of yourself, you must put your body under the rule of your spirit. Fasting is the gymnasium of the will. Start small, but be consistent. Refuse the physical to remind yourself that you are sustained by the spiritual. One day a week, be the man who says no to the world so he can say yes to his soul. You were not made to be a consumer of shadows. You were not made to be a biological slave to the bliss point. You were made to be a steward of the light. Your hunger is not your enemy. It is your compass. It is telling you that you are built for something that this world cannot put in a box, a bag, or a bottle. Stop feeding the ghost. Start building the man. Christ offers a bread that ensures you will never hunger for the trivial again. He offers the water of life that satisfies the thirst you've been trying to drown in the shallow wells of this world. Your hunger is your greatness trying to break through the sedation. Reclaim your throne. Occupy your life. Stand at your post. Now the choice is yours. You can close this tab and go find a snack to numb the weight of what you just heard. Or you can take the first step toward the light. If you are ready to stop numbing the void and start filling the mission, write, "I am fasting for my soul" in the comments. Let it be your public declaration of war against the sedation. Check the description for our order protocol guide. Join us. Let's bring order to the chaos.